All right, so today we're going to do an analysis on the simulation that we played this week on Back Bay Battery. So let's get started. Now, currently, Back Bay Battery operates in solar storage, UPS, and marine applications. While AGM batteries have remained profitable and reliable for the company, disadvantages such as slow recharge times, limited recharge cycles, lower power burst have created a need for R&D to improve these features. Supercapacitors store far more energy than a typical capacitor with a lower voltage and deliver high surges in power and quick recharge time. And pairing a supercapacitor with a battery would improve system performance and battery lifespan. Now we're going to look at the market and customer demand. While supercapacitors are still in early development, benefits such as providing short spikes of power, prolonging the life of the battery, would take care of longer outages, and collecting energy from dynamic braking could deliver a great value to customers in the near future, leaving Back Bay Battery to consider how should it allocate its R&D investments to AGM and potentially supercapacitors, right? This is the main question that we have. We also can see the features that hold significant value, such as self-discharge, recharge time, energy density, and obviously price. Now we're going to take a look at the strategy that I implemented to create financial success and a competitive advantage for Back Bay Battery. So we see here for Back Bay Battery, a cost leadership approach was used for AGM to create sustained customer satisfaction and competitive advantage through product improvement and a competitive price within the industry. Furthermore, a differentiation approach for supercapacitors allowed Back Bay Battery to increasingly improve high importance features and performance at a competitive price to leverage the increasing demand for supercapacitors, ultimately to drive overall profits and a sustained competitive advantage. Now we're going to look at the data used to form my strategy. First, I looked at what features each market valued and where Back Bay Battery products aligned. What you can see from all of these charts is that BBB really needs to invest R&D into features that the markets value the most, such as AGM recharge time and low self-discharge, while my price of $10 a unit responded well. As you can see here, this is $10 and this here was set at 20. The 20 was high, but of course we offset that. We knew that it was a premium price, but it was a developing product, so we were okay with that. Furthermore, the price of supercapacitors does not align with market expectations, while recharge time and self-discharge were closer to expectations at 24 months. In conclusion, UPS valued fast recharge and low self-discharge, which helped me determine that supercapacitors could create differentiation because of their fast recharge and low self-discharge that markets valued, while a more price-sensitive approach was used since markets placed high importance on a cheaper, more competitive price for AGM as compared to the supercapacitors. As you can see, the solar market maintains sustainability both in AGM and supercapacitors, while UPS sustainably increased over the course of 10 years due to UPS makers finding that adding a supercapacitor's ability to recharge quickly enhances the capacity to handle surges, making the perfect opportunity to capitalize on UPS by investing more R&D and focus supercapacitors on keeping AGM solar competitive since it's a steady revenue and sales stream. Using the income statement, we can see the contribution margins to evaluate the profitability of the products and how much revenue is left after covering variable costs. From the income statement, we know that AGM provided reliable profits, allowing BBB to allocate R&D funds to further support their main moneymaker, while supercapacitors were losing the company sustainable amounts of money, hurting cumulative profits, directing me to believe that R&D should be refunded to improve supercapacitors and the process improvement, therefore slowly improving the product, leveraging innovation and long-term growth, whereas R&D could be allocated to AGM for short-term profit. As you can see below, we can see the cumulative profit and how it went from being 0.0 million all the way to what it was at 10 years at almost 200 million. Now, to prove my strategy of cost leadership approach for AGM and supercapacitor differentiation was working, I tracked product and performance and market, financial, and strategic KPIs throughout the simulation. Using these KPIs, I was able to measure customer demands through product and market KPIs and use financial and strategic KPIs to understand if my performance improvements through R&D allocation was successfully financial in revenue and profit. By using leading indicators, I was able to adjust where I allocated R&D to create success, while lagging indicators helped me measure and understand if my strategy was performing well, making profits, and creating satisfied customers. Furthermore, using the performance features, I determined that in order to maintain AGM as the primary steady resource of income, a competitive price, low recharge time, and increased energy density needed to be improved to drive customer satisfaction and support my cost leadership strategy to gain a competitive advantage. To support differentiation within supercapacitors, I focused on the most important gaps that customers cared about in performance, such as self-discharge, quick recharge times to handle surges, and recharge cycles to appeal to specifically the growing UPS market and to make up for the premium price that I had to use to ensure I wasn't losing more money than I needed. Of course, when you have a certain R&D budget, not every feature can be improved. Therefore, trade-offs occur. In the simulation, trade-offs included a lack of efficient improvement in lower priority features, and most importantly, choosing how much to allocate to AGM R&D, which would improve my income statement now, and how much to invest in innovation that could create a sustained competitive advantage for my business in the future. Bottom line, I wanted to allocate enough to where I could generate increasingly higher profits each year while maintaining customer satisfaction, while also avoiding an innovation gap for the company. The balanced scorecard was used to organize and execute my strategy of cost leadership and differentiation to provide financial success and customer satisfaction. By using the balanced scorecard, I was able to take my mission and strategy into a comprehensive set of performance measures. Furthermore, this simulation aligned with principles within the blue ocean strategy that we've learned about in class, such as allocating R&D towards emerging technology and market demand in supercapacitors. UPS due to a supercapacitor's ability to recharge quickly, enhancing the capacity to handle surges. Now we have to come to the big question. Is this a winning strategy? My short answer is yes. Overall, the product market fit improved. UPS and marine markets and sales grew and increased profits. As you can see on the left, recharge times, which supercapacitors customers prioritized, improved and aligned with their desired performance, while AGM preferred fair pricing. Therefore, by keeping my unit price low at 10, this price aligned with customer preferences, producing a cost advantage over other organizations. Now, as you can see from my income statement, by using BBB's strategy, cumulative profit increased and became net positive, leading the company to financial success at the end. From the simulation, I learned that developing a strategy to create value for customers allows a company to anticipate market trends, adapt to changes, and overall sustain a competitive advantage. Furthermore, a balanced scorecard translates strategy into objectives such as maximizing Back Bay batteries profits, sustaining AGM cash flow, and a competitive advantage in the supercapacitors market. Additionally, ROI results are not immediate, and in my case, it took at least 5 years to see results. Finally, there will never be a perfect R&D budget. You have to accept trade-offs such as lack of efficient improvement in lower priority features, and your strategy might have to change and adapt as demands and markets change. Back Bay Battery also requires a transformational leader to guide and articulate the importance of innovation and drive during this time, as long and short-term investments are made to create value and a competitive advantage to drive overall profits. In conclusion, for AGM, a cost leadership approach was used, while supercapacitors use a differentiation approach to drive overall profits and sustain competitive advantage, and overall produced $195.9 million.